Bitcoin transformed me into someone who didn't have much hope for the future and was just generally angry at the world and how it worked, into someone who it feels purpose-driven, someone who has been incentivized to save for the future, and I feel optimistic about the future for me and my family. And yeah, I'm going to dive into why that is. So for me, I never felt incentivized by the way things worked, right? The money is broken, right? There's no hope in saving for the future when the money today is not going to go as far in the future. And, for any future generations, it's just going to be harder and harder for them just to exist because the money is constantly being devalued. But with Bitcoin, you can rest assured knowing that your savings is going to go further in the future. And that's the power of having a deflationary currency. And for me, more personally, I would always consider myself someone who is neurodivergent. Like I had always just felt different than most people around me. I just struggled. And I think with that, I had a heightened sense of pattern recognition and seeing through things, maybe is the best way to explain it. And I just always felt so hopeless. It never felt like the incentives were there to be doing what I was doing. Like in school, I never felt like I was incentivized enough to, do my work. And it was a constant struggle to do so because I felt like the incentive structure wasn't there. And that's what Bitcoin provides. Bitcoin provides superior incentive structures. I didn't feel incentivized to finish college. I dropped out after 1 year because I couldn't do it. I didn't see the incentive structure wasn't there for me, right? It just felt way too expensive for the little to no return, basically. And it would take me years just to pay off that investment. So I think what I'm trying to say is that it felt like the world wasn't designed for me. It felt like I was constantly swimming upstream, just existing in this world where it felt like nothing was tailored to me. But with Bitcoin, it feels like I'm taking part in a new system that works for everyone, works for me especially. It gives me the incentives to save for the future and to be hopeful about the future, right? And be hopeful that this giant problem that is broken money, can be solved. And that solution is proposed with Bitcoin, and it's already serving its purpose. Yeah, before discovering Bitcoin, I definitely recognized that there were a lot of problems, but it just felt like everything was foundationally broken, from government to healthcare to, just every industry just seemed completely broken. And I didn't know why, and it was frustrating. But after learning Bitcoin, what learning about Bitcoin, led me to was studying money and studying why our money is so broken and how many of these problems actually stem from the fact that our money is broken. That causes a lot of corruption, the fiat money. But I just didn't have the proper outlet to think about that and to, lean into that and think about how I wanted to contribute. Because, from a young age, I've always had a drive or a knowing that I was meant to do big things. I just didn't know where it would come. And there was times in my life where I was very depressed, not knowing what I wanted to do, and everything around me just felt broken. Felt like there was no point going on in this world because everything is just so far beyond repair. But since learning about Bitcoin, my outlook has just naturally shifted into, not everything's perfect. Not every problem is going to be solved by fixing the money, but a lot of the problems stem from the broken money. And if we use the superior money, if we provide enough education where people just simply start using the better money as money, then the world will just naturally shift into that system. And that's why I'm so passionate about Bitcoin education and trying to get that message out there. So if you're watching this now, I would just, tell you that there is hope for the world. There are people that want to make the world a better place. And I think those people are much more powerful than the people that want to control and suppress information, suppress ideas. Bitcoiners are very powerful. It's more than just a monetary movement. It's a political movement. It's a spiritual movement. And if you're watching this, I would urge you to just learn about Bitcoin, listen to some of the great content out there, and maybe you too can, participate in this movement. Right? Bitcoin provides superior incentives, and that's what drew it to me, The way it's designed, the way it's just beautiful design to basically just go up in value forever, right? That's the simplification of it, but it was designed to go up in value forever. But there's so much suppression out there and so much fear around it, so much misinformation in the media about what Bitcoin is. They just see it as this speculative investment that could go to zero or it could go to the moon, but that's not what it is. It's savings technology, it's freedom technology, and it's hope technology for the future. It's simply just a better monetary system, right? That's all it is. Bitcoin is better money. And that's the message I want to get across here, and why I'm so passionate about sharing that message. Because I want people like me in the past who didn't feel hopeful, just felt angry at the way things were. But you can't create lasting change in the world by focusing on all the problems. You can't change the way things are by being angry about the way things are. You have to think about how you want things to be, and think about how you want the money to be fixed. You want better money. That's, going to fix a lot of the incentives in the world, because of our money, people are incentivized to lie, cheat, and steal to get ahead, because the money fails as a store of value. The money is created out of thin air. It's, distributed not to the people, which would still cause inflation, but it's distributed to the central banks and the government that want to spend it however they want to fuel wars, to fuel frivolous spending. And, us Bitcoiners have had enough of it. That's not a world we want to live in. And, we're still focusing on the problem, right? But we're focusing on how we want to solve that problem, which is sound money. So yeah, I think this video is a little all over the place, but I just kind of wanted to share some of my experience and, where I was before Bitcoin and after. The world still isn't perfect, right? Bitcoin isn't just going to make you, happy 24/7 overnight, but it could give you an outlet to have a little more hope for the future and, want to build and save for the future, right? I think that's just the biggest thing. You're incentivized to save for the future on a Bitcoin standard, on a sound money standard. On a fiat money standard, you are not incentivized to save, because the value of your savings is going to get debased to zero. And that's like the hidden tax, right? We're taxed on what we earn. We're taxed on what we spend. If we hold an investment, sell it, we're taxed on that too, which is just crazy. And then everything that's left over from the actual dollar amount that they sold from you, they steal the rest through printing money and debasing the money, which is just, it's an unsustainable track. And there's no wonder people are so depressed. People have no hope for the future, and people find other unproductive outlets to be angry at the world and hopeless about the future. But that's what Bitcoin has done in my life. It's not just transformed my finances, it's transformed my outlook on the world and my life in general, and it's made me hopeful for the future, hopeful that I would want to bring kids into this world, and hopeful that they will see a brighter future than I will, and that the suffering, the pain that fiat has caused me in my life will be worth it, and my kids might have a better life, and have more hope. So I apologize if this video is kind of all over the place, but I just wanted to share kind of my personal experience. And comment down below if you have had any similar experience, or if you just have any questions about Bitcoin in general. I've been thinking about, providing some more information out there, like some kind of Bitcoin beginner's course, from just learning about it to, self-custody, stuff like that. So if you'd be interested in that, let me know as well. Like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. That helps out the channel a ton. As always, together, let's work, save, and build a brighter future with Bitcoin. See you in the next video.